misbehave and battle me, and you will learn the consequences of your arrogance.
That's right, you heard correctly. It is time to unveil the ultimate version of my Ultimate Modern deck, Beholder 3.0 Alpha. Which really I should probably just call Beholder Alpha at this point, because 2.0 and 1.0 are crap and nobody needs to know about them. So let's just call it Beholder Alpha, why not? In fact, I'm going to title the video that. Why call it Alpha? I don't know, maybe because it frickin' dominates everything? I just tested this deck against every deck known to man, and I very rarely lose. If I did, it was a win-in-3 situation. So I just tried this against all the top Eldrazi decks I could find, and just beat the living crap out of them. I versed my friend's modified Eldrazi deck, beat the crap out of that. I versed SEAL Team 6, 25 wins, 0 losses on X-Mage. Even with the computer being a complete potato, it does know how to run SEAL Team 6. It has no idea how to run this deck, unfortunately. I might upload more footage. This is actually kind of funny trying to watch it, try to play this. A lot of people have looked at the deck list and said, yeah, it's neat, it's kind of gimmicky, I see what it does, but it'll never work in a real-world scenario against real modern decks. Wrong! This beat everything I threw it at. You haven't played it, I've played it. I would not be posting the final version if it didn't work. I have done nothing but win with this deck. Now, I'm yet to bring it to my actual LGS for a huge large-scale modern tournament, but my friend runs pretty much every modern deck known to man, because he's got lots of money. And he versed a whole bunch of them in a row. I tested them. I mean, it's just unbeatable. This deck is just, it can lose. All the games were close, but, there shouldn't be just a blowout deck in Modern that just crushes everything, because then it'll get banned. I actually highly suspect Isochron Scepter will get banned in the next couple years, or whenever people start seeing this deck. I'd love to bring this to a tournament and just crush people's hopes and dreams with it, because the beta version of Beholder was designed solely to beat Splinter Twin and Bloom, because those were the two that I focused primarily on, because my friend told me this is realistically what a high percentage of people are playing. So if you're going to play Blue Anti-Magic Loop, you should probably play it and design it to beat these combo decks where they try to make a combo go off. And I thought, okay, cool, and I didn't really look into it. Well, as it turns out, a lot of modern decks drop in creatures. Who would have thought? So, I put in Vapor Snag and Unsummon. That's basically it. I mean, I was, saying, oh, maybe I should pull Isochron and just kind of ride the card draw, and then that didn't work. I tried it that way, it just didn't work as well. I mean, I've played over 100 games with this deck, and probably well over 100, and it just works. It just does. So the super quick overview is you got your Deprive and your Mana Leak, the two best anti-magic in all of Blue, in all of Modern. Not in all the game, that would be, if it was up to me, Counterspell, Force of Will, yeah, that'd be great. But then in case they do get something out on the field, we've got Vapor Snag, which usually is actually a kill condition, because I actually managed to do 12 damage to the guy in a game because I put it on Isochron and I had multiple in my hand. And then Unsummon, Vapor Snag's weird cousin. So that's an old card, total classic. Vapor Snag is a little bit newer. It's from New Phyrexia or whatever, and was printed in Modern Masters 2015 as well, so it shouldn't be that hard to find a copy of it. It's actually a common, it's like 50 cents. Unsummon's like less than 50 cents. Deprive is dirt cheap. Mana Leak is practically free. Isochrons, they're probably 3 to 5 a piece. Meddling Mage is the real expense, and then all the rest are completely worthless. I think maybe Voidmage is like $1 or $2 or something, I don't know. This whole deck costs like $28, so once you get into the lands, though, the ideal land set, it's pretty scary. You really don't need the fetch lands at all, but I'll outline that down in the description area, because for now I'd rather just focus on what's actually in the deck. So we've got 2 anti-magic, 2 ways to bounce a creature back to hand. One of them deals 1 damage, and then you've got Isochron to sit there and just photocopy crap in case you're top decking. And it really, really, really does consistently work. Unless you keep a hand that's just a catastrophe, this deck will work. The only problem is, if you do have to mulligan, you're going to pull pretty bad cards. Or at least, you'll pull not enough cards. If you start with 6 or if you start with 5, you're starting with a huge disadvantage. I would say the same about most other Modern decks, though, so I don't know the degree of severity of starting with 5 or 6 cards with most other decks, but I would assume it's pretty bad. They stand a much higher chance of getting land screwed and that sort of thing. So with reducing the deck from 4 anti-magic to 2 true anti-magic, I thought it would be a complete catastrophe, but you still got Judge's Familiar, you still got Voidmage Prodigy, and then you've got the greatest innovation since sliced bread, Meddling Mage. I mean, it's a 2/2 for 2, and all you have to do is name a non-land card, and it can't be played. Simple as that. Now, you can't play it either. Who cares? Who's playing a mirror match? I mean, what do you do? You know what I would do? I'd name Meddling Mage. If this was a mirror match, I'd be like, guess who can't play Meddling Mage? Both of us, but I have one on the field. Deal with it. But, yeah, I mean, that's not a big drawback. And then, does that happen to be a wizard so you can sacrifice it with Voidmage if you absolutely had to? Yeah, I would still sacrifice Voidmage, but the only unimprovement to the deck was the fact that Voidmage costs 2 blue and then the effect is 2 blue, so you have to have 4 blue. If you manage to naturally pull a plains, it might be a little bit of a problem, but I only ran into that like twice. So it's not the most common in the world. Now, Judge's Familiar, everybody hates it because they think it shouldn't be in the deck, but there's just nothing else. I mean, except for that guy who flips and becomes a 3/1 flyer or whatever, he's pretty good on damage. But trust me, this could be dragged out to turn 30 and you're just going to dominate the whole match permanently. So it's just not the biggest deal that he's in there. Plus, he's a lightning bolt prevention, so he just kind of sucks up a lightning bolt like a little miniature flying spellskite so that it doesn't hit your Void Mage or your Meddling Mage. And if somebody maxes out like an X-Speller, they just finally got to 5 mana, they try to cast something for 5 mana that's a spell, or non-creature spell, I should say an instant or a sorcery specifically, you could just nuke it, just get rid of your owl, and there, it's done, it's in the graveyard. Not even remanded, it's in the graveyard. I mean, and then the other thing is, with Tandem Lookout, he's got the Soul Bond hit and draw. You want to attach that to the owl 99% of the time, because he's just going to fly through in the air. There's very, very low odds that the opponent has a flyer, and if they do, just bounce it back to hand. So it's like a guaranteed hit, and then you get a free card. And then the other aspect of that is Surrakar Spellblade. Every time you cast a, let's see, what does it say? Instant or sorcery. So Isochron itself doesn't count, but spells copied off of Isochron are quite literally cast. It's an alternate cast cost casting, so you are actually casting a spell. So the guy kept summoning an Eldrazi Mimic over and over and over and over because he needed it to be on the field, and every single turn I Vapor Snagged it, did 1 damage, and then put a counter on Surrakar. So every single swing, Surrakar was drawing me like 7 cards. I mean, eventually I just pulled some Deprives, and that was it. I pulled a Deprive and another Isochron, and a whole buttload of lands, so I had like 9 lands on the field. I mean, you just can't beat this deck once it gets going. You can't beat it early game, you can't beat it mid game. The only thing that just crushes this deck is pretty much Infect if they play it right, or any other deck that has a buttload of those Phyrexian spells. So if they're casting 5 spells for 2 mana, yeah, you can't cancel them all, but you can cancel the first one or the most important one in the chain. So if it's just a bunch of like mutagenic growth and other like boost spells, just cancel the summoning in the first place. So you obviously can't do that to like Inkmoth Nexus or any other man lands, but you could bounce them back to hand, and both of them are instants. So this does have a little bit of an answer for even the weaknesses. I'm yet to find a deck that just stomps this one, just utterly obliterates it and shuts it down. I mean, my opponent even like used that, what is that crap version of Thoughtseize, that other one that's mana 3 or less or whatever. He did it twice and I still ended up winning. So he eliminated like Meddling Mage and like Vapor Snag, and I still ended up beating him because he took his turn to do that, and I'm top decking and he's top decking, and let's all have a top deckathon. I'm still gonna win. You know, it just lets me stall and put more mana or more land on the field basically. So if anybody has a deck that you think that this deck will lose to, I'd be happy to let the AI verse it in X-Mage. Otherwise, we might be able to arrange a time to verse on X-Mage because they have public servers, especially American servers. So if you're interested in that, let me know. If you think you can beat this deck, just, I don't know, leave it down in the comments or send me a message. Just click on my channel and then the About tab and then send message or something like that. And I'll film it, even if I lose. I never said I'd upload it, but I'll film it. So before we start talking crap about this deck, it's like $60 freaking with the lands. Just go buy the damn deck and then play with it, and then tell me what you think about it. Because just looking at it and saying, oh, that won't work, no, it does. It follows the rules of 888, which is outlined in my probability, my hypergeometric distribution video, which you should all watch. That's the most important video you'll ever watch about MTG. And, well, except for the Jace artwork conspiracy, that one's pretty important too, I would say. Very, very equal level of importance there. That's some X-Files level stuff. But otherwise, I don't know, I might show more gameplay footage or whatever you guys want me to do with this deck other than blow it up, light it on fire, or microwave it. And I will see you guys next video. Oh, and remember...
Like this video and subscribe to my channel, or I will cancel all of your spells at the next Friday Night Magic.